Well, he's a fraud. Nobody questions the fact that he was in the National Guard for 24 years. He was also getting paid for that. He also used it on his resume. Good for him. But that doesn't erase the fact that you were AWOL when your unit was being deployed. A gutless fraud. We have a huge problem, we have many, in the Democrat Party with Harris and this guy, Tim Walz. The vast majority of America never heard of this guy, Tim Walz. He is a sick puppy, this guy. When you think of the sickest parts of our culture, this guy is a leader. Whether it is the mutilation of children's genitalia, he's a leader. Without parental notification, he's a leader. Abortion on demand without limits, even parental notification, he's a leader. Tampons in the boys' room, he's a leader. I call him Tampon Tim, among other things. When it comes to his military record, the other day he was offended that anybody would question his military record. Well, he's a fraud. Nobody questions the fact that he was in the National Guard for 24 years. He was also getting paid for that. He also used it on his resume. Good for him. But that doesn't erase the fact that you were AWOL when your unit was being deployed. A gutless fraud. That's what he is. And he used that, and he lied about it. He put it on his coins. He put it in his campaigns. When it comes to Islamicism, this guy is a leader. He's embraced Omar. She just recently won her primary campaign with his endorsement. He has embraced radical imams, and that talking about imams who talk about Adolf Hitler, who promote Adolf Hitler, who promote October 7th. We're talking about the enemy within here, ladies and gentlemen. But Tim Walz has played to the most radical elements. As I said, these are organizations that defend terrorism. They're associated, they and these politicians, with CARE, which was founded by Hamas in Philadelphia. Niwad, who is Niwad Awad, there you go, who is the founder and the chairman of CARE, was in that meeting with Hamas when they founded it. And he thought that October 7th was an absolute legitimate resistance movement by the Palestinians. And this is an organization, CARE, that gets involved in Democrat Party politics, that is consultant by the likes of Harris over the years for interfaith discussions. It is not a civil rights organization. It claims to be. It has been used by media outlets throughout this country. So you have CARE, you have these imams, you have Students for Justice in Palestine, which is another Hamas front group with ties to Hamas, which is founded by a professor on the West Coast, an Islamist. You have the American Muslim Society, you have in various states, like in Minnesota, which is where this imam comes from, who promotes Hitler, that has been embraced. He has been embraced by Walz. Walz gave him $100,000 of the taxpayer money in Minnesota, and they're up for another $25,000, and he hasn't stopped it. This entire mentality of self-hating Jews, of Islamists, of Marxists, they all have a home within the Democrat Party. And the candidate running for president and the candidate running for vice president in the Democrat Party are the most anti-Semitic national politicians this nation has ever seen run for president and vice president. Tom Cotton and Elise Stefanik have said it. I have said it because it is true. Here's Tim Walz. He calls the Hitler-promoting cleric a master teacher at an Islamic Center event. This is August 13, and it is discovered by the Washington Examiner. And I want you to check this out. Go.
I'd like to, first of all, say thank you to Imam. I am a teacher, so when I see a master teacher, I know it. And over the time we've spent together, one of the things I've had the privilege of is seeing the things in life through the eye of a master teacher.
A master teacher who's a Hitlerian, who's promoting the extermination of the Jews, who has ties to those radical elements in the Islamist movement. This imam, who he must know to be of this mindset, of this ideology. The imam doesn't hide it. He's been promoting this 2013 Hitler documentary, so-called, on Facebook. The imam is known to have these views, but he's a master teacher. Go ahead.
To try and get the understanding, listening today to the stories and what it means, but there were two examples of this. And last summer, and many of you were probably there, there's so many reasons that we're proud of Minnesota, the things we think about it, but most of all, it's the people. We have beautiful lakes, we have beautiful opportunities, but we think of the people and the goodness of people. And so last summer, after the cowardly terrorist attack on Dar al-Farouk, Minnesotans gathered together. And thinking of living here as long as I have, and in that moment, it looked more like Minnesota than I'd ever seen it. It felt more like Minnesota than I've ever seen it, and it felt like who we are more than we'd ever seen it. And it was Imam talking, in those times is where we find who we are.
Yeah, the guy promoting Hitler, those are the times where we find who we are. The guy promoting Hitler, that is the extermination of the Jews in modern times. This guy wants to be Vice President of the United States. He's chosen, out of all the people Kamala Harris could choose, she chooses this sick bastard. Go ahead.
In those times is where we really see.
On at least 5 occasions, vice presidential nominee Tim Walz hosted a Muslim cleric who celebrated the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. Asad Zaman of the Muslim American Society of Minnesota joined other Muslim leaders in May of 2023. They met with Walz's gubernatorial office in Minnesota to discuss mosque security. Zaman also attended a May 2019 event Walz hosted for Ramadan. Walz's ties to Zaman could serve as problematic baggage for the Minnesota governor as he campaigns. Zaman said on October 7th of last year he stands in solidarity with Palestinians against Israeli attacks. He also uses his Facebook to share official Hamas press releases along with other anti-Semitic content. The Muslim leader reportedly promoted a film popular among neo-Nazis that glorifies Adolf Hitler.
Do you know Donald Trump had lunch with Nick Fuentes? Wow. And so the implication is that Donald Trump hates Jews. When he's got Jewish grandchildren, a daughter who converted to Orthodox Judaism, a son-in-law who's an Orthodox Jew, when he is the president who's done more in support of Israel than any president since the state of Israel was established, and he's denounced Fuentes, he's denounced him. This guy is all over the place with these Islamist, Hitlerian radicals. He's funded them. You see how he slobbers all over them.
For all this and much more, sign up for LEVIN TV.